All right, well, we're going to kick things off, just making sure we're being diligent of everyone's times. This month's host is the South Carolina chapter, and here to kick things off for us and welcome us to this broadcast is David Crockett, President of South Carolina.
Thanks, Artem. Welcome to all my NAIFA friends across the country. As you know, we were supposed to, this was going to be a live in-person event here in South Carolina, and with a chain of events, we're not having that. So it's a webinar now, but we're still happy to welcome you and host it here from the great state of South Carolina. Anybody, I did want to mention that as we talk to you across the country, anybody that I hope all their families are happy, safe and healthy, and anybody impacted, obviously know that your NAIFA members are here with you in our thoughts and prayers. Quickly, I'm sure all you guys are doing this. I'm on the phone all day, every day with a phone or a teleconference, you know, putting my clients at ease, letting them know we're here as their financial professional helping them, so I can take one worry off their plate. And I would make a quick pitch that you know, your local and state and national board and executives aren't sitting home watching Netflix. They're working hard to bring this kind of content, the webinars and the town halls and such. So while you're not on the phone talking to clients, I think it's as important as ever to be a part of NAIFA and take advantage of some of this. So we'll just be better positioned to help our clients when we come out of that. So what I'd like to do is lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to get kicked off. If you'd join me in reciting, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much for joining and participating, and I hope you have a great afternoon with this info. And I'd like to introduce our great, hard-working NAIFA National President, Cammie Scott.
All right, great. Thank you, David. Thank you all for hosting today. Well, good morning, NAIFA Nation, or good afternoon, depending upon where you're at. I want to welcome you today to this special edition of our NAIFA Live. And it is a special edition because we have combined today with our regularly scheduled NAIFA Town Hall meeting. We're so honored that you've chosen to be here with us today and spend your time with us. As you all know, and as David alluded to, these are changing times and they're difficult times. And we've seen things that most of us have never seen in our lifetimes. And so, you know, I want to challenge you during this time, just as David said, to think about you, think about your business, think about how you want things to look when this is all said and done. You know, think about what do you like, what do you not like. We've never had an event like this that's been such a social disruptor. Everything is basically stopped. It's all changed. None of us are operating the same way that we did. And even if we worked remotely before, this has taken it to a whole new level by the time that you add kids and multiple UPS and dogs and just working from home with spouses. All kinds of things are happening with this. So I want to challenge you. Think about how you want your business and your life to look when this is all done. As I said, things are changing quickly, and instead of running from the change, you know, one thing our members do is we run to the change. So we want to run to it and think about how do we want it to look. Now, I'm not only challenging you all as members to do this, but I'm challenging NAIFA as a whole to do this. And we're rising to the occasion. You know, we're adapting, we're changing our culture. We're trying to make sure that everything that we do is member-centered, that we're working with our members to better equip them, to better empower them, really to move you forward, to keep you inspired during this time. With so many things that are happening, it's easy to get down. And I know most of us have that full range of emotions as we go through the day. So we want to make sure that we keep you inspired on this journey. Now, many of you know, and as I alluded to earlier, we started holding town hall meetings back in March. And since then, we're continuing them. And we do have a full schedule of those that were posted during the introductory slides on this. And these are virtual meetings that give you some good resources for your practice and some tools, some sales ideas, and some tips that you can use both now and in the future. Next week, we have a special meeting on Thursday, and we'll feature Steptoe and Johnson, and they're going to talk about the Paycheck Protection Program and really what that means to advisors and how you can use that both in your practice and for your practice. How do you apply? What do you do? What does it mean? What do you need with that? Last week, we introduced the CARES Act. We introduced that through the town hall meeting. And last week, we had over 2,300 people that participated on Thursday and listened to that. So it's been very, very well received on the town halls. Those are Mondays and Thursdays. And we do have a special page that's dedicated specifically for that. We also have a number of carriers that have reached out to us that have said, hey, we've seen your content. We've seen these town halls. Can we use them with our entire field force? We want to broadcast these out to everyone. And the answer to that is for the NAIFA town halls, you can do that. Those are open to everyone. We want to make sure that people in the industry know about these important things and know how to use them. So the NAIFA town hall meetings are open. So if you want to use those, if you want to use those in your office, if you want to use those for training salespeople, if you want to use those for your staff, you can use those. If you want to send those to your management team, you can do that as well. The goal is to provide you quality information that you can take and that you can use. The final thing I'll share with you today is about financialsecurity.org. Now, this is our new consumer-facing website that's designed to provide good quality information to equip consumers, really people that are hurting right now, to equip them with some financial tools and resources that they can use as they're moving forward. This is a great opportunity for you as well. This is an opportunity for you to get involved. We've had lots of organizations bring us materials and say, hey, how do I get involved with that? Groups are coming to us saying, I want to be a part of what you're doing. I want to help people. Let me bring those resources to you. But this is your opportunity as well, because we've got a number of members as well who have come and said, hey, we want to help. We want to provide some videos. We want to provide some articles. We want to provide some tools and some different things that people can use. And so this is a chance for you to showcase your talents. You should see a link there in the chat box. And this is under the members only section. We're looking for members who want to contribute to this worthy cause. And, you know, we want to educate not only the public, but we want to educate them not only about financial wellness, but we also want to tell them about, you know, what our industry does. So a lot of people, our industry is just, it's a big mystery on what do we do? How do we do it? What does that look like? And lots of people don't know and they don't understand. And, you know, the financial advisor, that is one of the top 10 career categories for millennials. And so this website and some of the other things that we're doing are helping to educate that next generation of advisors. So we're making sure that we're preparing not only for today, but that we're preparing for tomorrow as well. So we want you to step up. We want you to help, come get involved and showcase all that you're doing, because we know we have some people that are doing some phenomenal work out there. We want to make sure that we show people what you're doing. Once again, thank you for being here today. And with that, I'll turn it over to our CEO, Kevin Mayu, who'll give us an update on a number of the other ways that we're working to advocate and work on your behalf. So thank you, Kevin. We'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Cammie, and thank you, David, and thank you to NAIFA South Carolina for hosting this month's NAIFA Live event. And I want to thank all of you that have joined us here today. Like our other presentations, we record these, and so they're available for you to take a look at them later if you did miss out on this opportunity to join us here today. You know, times like this are specifically geared for groups like NAIFA. As a professional association, we constantly have your back. We have your back 24/7, 365 in good times and in bad. And with that, we're representing you both with policymakers, with carriers, with folks all around the country to make sure that you as advisors have an opportunity to serve your clients, to serve them well, to look after their needs. And we want you to know that as your professional association, NAIFA has your back. So like our motto says, together we can take on anything. We can certainly do that in today's environment as well. I just want to let you know that, of course, in times like this, there's nothing quite like the sense of community that brings everybody together. And that's exactly what NAIFA does, is your professional association. Lets you know you're not alone. You know, even though you might be working in a different environment, you might be working in the basement of your house or in your living room, or in my case, right off of my little kitchen island, doing NAIFA business, to know that, you know, you've got a whole cadre of people, 25,000 other NAIFA members, plus an entire support structure at the local, at the state, and at the national level that are there for you to make sure, again, that you can thrive as a professional in this environment. And with this, we try to provide you with regular updates, let you know what's going on, keep you informed as to bills and other things that are going through Congress, making sure that we have a say in how that legislation is crafted, working with the agencies as they're implementing things, like in this case, with the CARES Act, working with the Treasury Department and others, making sure, again, they keep in mind the perspective of Main Street Americans and you all, the folks that serve Main Street Americans each and every day. So a couple things I just wanted to, again, reemphasize. One, please know we have your back. We sent letters of support to our carrier CEOs, making sure that they communicate with you regularly, but also making sure that your compensation is not interrupted in any way as we go through this crisis. We have reached out to the various state insurance commissioners to say, hey, listen, if you need to be a little flexible in some of your regulations to make sure NAIFA members can continue to do their business with their clients as we, we social distance and we look after the public health good, please make sure that we can still ensure that NAIFA members are providing the right services to their clients to provide them with financial peace of mind. We're doing that every day. And then, like I said, we're working with congressional leaders. And we're also letting them know that if your constituents contact you and they've got concern, again, about their financial well-being, steer them towards an NAIFA member because we can help them out. You know, we can help provide peace of mind. We can help give them information. We can help them make the right decisions for their financial futures. And so in times like this, just like every other time of the year, NAIFA has your back and is looking after your best interests. And in many ways, we're working double or triple time now as we all attempt to deal with this new reality and way of doing business. But rest assured, like Cammie said, we will get through this and we will emerge better and stronger than ever because that's in our DNA as Americans. Also in our DNA as NAIFA is, of course, being the organization that is there to promote you as an individual producer, and a producer who says, I want to be part of a professional association. I stand for looking after the best interests of my clients at all times, and I subscribe to a code of ethics by being a member of NAIFA. And so with that, we want to find ways to better market you. So like on those websites that Cammie talked about, financialsecurity.org, and on the NAIFA website, we want to focus on being able to highlight you as an individual and the work that you do as an advisor. And so if you've got a story to share, if you'd like to appear in a video clip or something, we'd love to be able to showcase you. So if so, please reach out to your state leadership. Please reach out to those of us on the national team. We love to find ways to highlight you and the great work that you're doing every single day because it helps tell the story of the good that financial advisors do every day for 90 million American families. Also like to remind you that even though we can't have our NAIFA Congressional Conference here in Washington, D.C. on May 19th and 20th like we had planned because of the reality that we're in today, we've repurposed that week to have it as a NAIFA Nation Impact Week. And so during that week, we're going to have on Tuesday, May 19th, we're going to have a diversity symposium. That's open for all advisors to attend, NAIFA members and non-members alike, as we as an association continue to stress reaching out to diverse communities, encouraging them to become members of NAIFA, encouraging them to become professionals, and also making sure NAIFA members can reach out to diverse communities to help educate them as to what they need to consider for their financial futures. On Wednesday, the 20th, we're having our Advocacy and Action Day, and that's kind of like a virtual version of our Day on the Hill here in Washington, D.C. But during that, we'll hear an update from NAIFA staff professionals, from contractors, from members of Congress, talking about what's going on in the House and Senate, what is important for us as financial security professionals to keep in mind, and to make sure that we're continuing to be plugged in, with a policy-making perspective. And then on Thursday, the 21st, we have a special leadership and action training where we're going to have special leadership training available to all advisors to, again, teach you how you can lead in this uncertain world and how you can do business in this new reality in which we're living today. So keep an eye on that. You did also see on the starter slides, there was some information about it. It's also on belong.naifa.org. Please go check that out. Also, while you're sitting back and you may have a little time that's scheduled different than what it was before, please consider thinking about further elevating yourself professionally and consider earning the Life and Annuity Certified Professional LACP certification. The next text window for that is open in July, but now it's a great time to start preparing for that, to sign up and become a candidate for the LACP. Again, it is one of only 2 certifications that's in our space that is accredited on the FINRA list. It is only one of the very few that has gotten, again, that full-blown accreditation. So take advantage of it. There's information available on our website. We'd love for you to sign up. A number of companies have already endorsed LACP and have allowed all of their producers to be able to use it on their letterhead, on their websites, etc. I mean, those, just to name a few, include New York Life, Principal, Guardian, Country Financial, SagePoint, Woodbury Financial, Cambridge, Royal Alliance, FSC Securities, and then just this week, the Leaders Group in Western and Southern also approved it for use by each of their producers. So consider doing that. And then again, Performance Plus Purpose, it'll probably be the first chance that we as an industry have a chance to get together face-to-face as we emerge again from this COVID-19 crisis coming up in October in Boston. So make plans to attend and visit with all of your friends face-to-face instead of just in virtual space like we're doing today. But again, thank you for your leadership and your involvement. Please know that NAIFA is always here for you. We do have your back, and we're going to emerge from this, like I said before, better and stronger than ever. And with that, I'd like to pass over the virtual baton to Aubrey Hill, who is the president of NAIFA South Carolina's Midlands affiliate. Aubrey?
Hi, everybody. It's my pleasure to get to introduce our speaker today. We were disappointed that he was not here in the Midlands area of South Carolina with us in person for our quarterly meeting this morning, but visiting with Bill on the internet and the nation is the next best thing. So here we go. In this challenging time, most advisors are wondering, how do I grow my business? How do I get back to being able to generate referrals and introductions? How do I start attracting new clients in a way that's appropriate for this current environment? Our guest presenter for today's session is here to answer those questions. As the author of Get More Referrals Now and Beyond Referrals, Bill Cates has revolutionized the way thousands of financial professionals acquire ideal clients through referrals and introductions from their clients and centers of influence. Known by many as the referral coach, Bill has expanded his focus to include strategies that you can use to discover and communicate your value in a way that will attract the attention of ideal clients and move those clients to take action. Today's presentation is a combination of many conversations Bill is having with his financial advisor coaching clients, gleaning best practices and success stories, as well as content from his newest book, Radical Relevance. Bill, are you ready to take it away?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
Let's go. I'm going to share my screen, everybody, real quick. There we go. All right. So hope everybody can hear me. I hope you guys are ready to take a lot of notes. Let's just get the elephant out of the room. Some of you probably did a double take when NAIFA started promoting this session, and you thought, how in the heck did they get Bill Gates to speak at NAIFA Live? Well, sorry to disappoint you if that was your expectation. Bill Gates may have a lot of money. I have a little bit less, but I'm going to help you make a lot of money in the spirit of service to your clients, which we know is the most important thing. Some of you may be feeling like this right now, like not sure what to do, or maybe you've had it with a lot of client conversations. Some of you probably a little tired of getting on the phone. Hopefully you haven't had any rough conversations. Maybe some of you are happy to be at home, happy to have the kids running around and the dog or the cat walking across your keyboard at the worst time. Look, here's what I do know. What I do know is that people are talking. People are talking about their financial situation in ways they don't usually talk about. I've gotten a number of calls just from my friends saying, Bill, what should I do in this situation? And so we know that's going on. And the other thing we know for sure is that money and clients are in motion. I'll give you a few examples. We know that at this moment, people are acquiring new clients, they're acquiring new assets, they're selling new products with their clients in a way that needs to be appropriate for today's environment. But this really is a huge opportunity for everybody, and we want to be able to capture that opportunity, not just now, but certainly position ourselves when things get back to quote unquote normal, whatever that may be. Al Fox, I've been coaching Al for about 10 years. Al's kind of an anomaly in this business. In fact, coming into this year, Al had $1 billion under management. So, you don't run into a guy like Al all the time. But what Al recognizes is this truly is an opportunity to grow the business, to first protect our clients, help them out, give them the advice they need, hold their hands, protect them from the competition, and eventually grow our business. Very specific from Diane. First of all, she told me that if she does things right, she knows that she will protect her clients from the competition. Our job is not to have our clients rescued from us. Our job is to rescue clients from others who are not doing the best job possible. And then just by calling her clients, she's bringing in more assets than she ever had before. So this is an opportunity. I always like to share my definition of leadership in times like this. And mine is leadership is helping people make decisions that are in their best interest that they wouldn't do without you, that they wouldn't make without you. And this really is where the rubber meets the road in terms of our profession and helping people make the decisions they need to make, sometimes the tough decisions. You probably tried to help them make the right decisions before this mess occurred. It probably would have helped them through this mess. And guess what? Now they're probably going to be a little more open to those conversations. So we can't be hiding. The trouble is a lot of advisors right now actually are hiding. In fact, one of my coaching clients was hiding. I was talking to him 2 weeks ago, Dennis, and I said, so Dennis, how many A clients have you gotten through so far this week? He says, well, Bill, I haven't really called any yet. I go, Dennis, you got to get on the stick. You've got to be on the phone talking to people. This is critical. So some of this I outlined in a report that I wrote a couple of weeks ago, just as all the, this hit the fan, so to speak. And it's too big for me to email to you, but you can get it by going to this website, and it's free. If you just go to volatilemarketgrowth.com, and I'm going to share with you a little bit of excerpts from this report right now. So the first part was phase one. Hopefully most of you are already finished with phase one or just about finished with phase one. So this is where you want to make sure you call all your A clients for sure. Be that empathetic listener, hold their hand in this process. You're not necessarily going to talk about the market, the economy, their portfolio, or insurance or annuities or anything, unless they bring that up. The door may open. They may open the door for us, in which case we're ready to move through and help them. Sometimes we just need to be a good listener. Hopefully you or a staff member are sending an email to all of your other clients to let them know you're available to chat. You're very busy. If you have a lot of clients, you can't call all of them, but you need to at least, and I recommend this as a copy and paste, right? There's definitely going to be, you can send a broadcast to everybody, but I also do recommend you should do a copy and paste. George, paste, right? Mary, paste. Personalize a little if you have the time. They need to know you're thinking about them, that you're there for them. Now, don't forget spouse or partner here. You may have a lot of your household, you may have kind of a lead person that you talk to most of the time. It's always important that we bring this to everybody, that when we're talking to the husband, we also bring the wife or vice versa. Now I think is even more important. If you're doing the virtual meetings and you're setting the meetings up with your one contact, can your spouse, can your wife, can your partner also join in on the meeting? It's very important that we do that. And then also don't miss other people in your life, right? Not just your clients. Call prospects, not in an effort to do business and not say, hey, I told you we should have done that. It's really just to say, how are you doing? Don't forget those people. Don't forget friends, family. A lot of doors will open just by making these phone calls, doors for opportunity for growth for you and for you to serve them. And then check in with other trusted advisors, especially with your A clients. Hopefully you know of their CPAs or other trusted advisors. And so you want to make sure you reach out to them. Now with CPAs, probably just an email, right? They got their heads buried in tax returns and they're helping their clients with the PPP and all that. So they're pretty busy. But let's say you have a client in common in Laura Smith and you say, hey, Eddie, I just want to let you know, we have a client, in common in Laura. And I've spoken to Laura. We're on top of things with her. We've made a couple of adjustments moving forward. Just want to let you know I've been in touch. That's all. Just really simple. If you have a client in common, let them know that you're on top of things. So this is kind of phase one. Most of you hopefully are through most of this, if not all of it. I had a coaching client this morning. He has already made 2 calls to all of his A clients. So he's well through phase 1. Phase 2 is, how do we start to get into a growth mode? How can we slowly and appropriately get into the growth mode? So I'll give you a couple ways. First of all, planting the seeds, promoting the possibility of introductions without straight out asking. And I think the best way to do this is to be really pretty transparent about it and say, it goes a little something like, George, I'm glad you're feeling a little bit better after this call. And I do believe you're positioned moving forward in about the best way you can be. And, I want to let you know what's kind of going on in this industry. Everyone in my firm, myself included, as you know, we're reaching out to our clients. We're making sure we're there for them. We're doing everything we can to talk to everybody we possibly can. But there are a lot of folks out there who are not doing that. I don't know if they're hiding under their desk or they're not sure what to say to their clients, but I know this for a fact because over the last couple of weeks, we've already brought in a couple of clients who are unhappy with who they were working with in the past. So look, if you do identify anyone, a friend, a family member, a colleague, a neighbor walking down the street 6 feet apart, please, and it comes up, please, I'm never too busy to see if I can be a resource for other people you care about. Don't keep me a secret. Let's come up with a way for you to introduce me to them. Sound okay? And they'll go, yeah, sounds fine. Sometimes that opens the door. Sometimes they say, well, would you mind talking to my mother? She's across the state, but now that we're doing this virtual, I'd be happy to do that. Right. So one thing I've seen, a lot of advisors, perhaps you've experienced this with all these virtual sessions now, for a lot of folks, it's actually expanding the geography that we're working in. And so that's one nice thing that's coming from all these virtual meetings. So that's one way to do it. Just kind of acknowledge what's going on, plant the seed, and then just see if the door opens then, great. If not, you're just planting the seed for the future. Another way to do this, I just call this a sincere checking in, right? It's a sincere check-in. And it goes like, George, I'm glad you're feeling a little bit better about your situation. By the way, how are your parents doing, right? Are they staying safe? I hope, yeah. And then if you have a really good relationship with this person, the next step could be, do you feel like they're being taken care of right now? Are they hearing from their advisor? Do you feel like they're getting the attention they need? Now, they may say, yeah, with my father and mother love who they're working with. I've tried to recommend you, but they're happy. Okay, that's fine. Or they may say, oh, I don't really know. Would you like me to check? Well, if you want to. I'm never too busy to see if I can be a resource for other people, certainly people in your family, people you care about. Yeah, if you want to reach out to them, let me know. And then maybe you can find a way, or we can find a way for you to introduce me to them, right? And it's as simple as that. Notice I'm saying never too busy to see if I can be a resource. If you're a veteran, if you've been at this for a while, that's the qualifier here. Never too busy to see if I can be a resource. And right now, given this environment, we're expanding that a little bit, right? We're just being there for people and trying to help. And the truth is, a lot of people are not hearing from their advisor. Al Fox is an advisor I've been coaching for a long time. He just brought in a new client who he had talked to this woman a few times, but they weren't doing business yet. She had called her advisor, left 3 messages in 4 days, still hadn't heard from her advisor, and she moved $4 million into Al's practice. Now, can you imagine there's an advisor out there with a $4 million client, and he or she is not returning a phone call? It's a shame, but we know what's going on, and therefore it's an opportunity for us. It's a huge opportunity. Aaron, I've been working with for a few years. Aaron told me that his best growth has always come after a precipitous downturn in the market. His best years, his best growth has come from that. So we've got to be appropriate, of course, and I think I'm showing you some ways to do that without being predatory, without being overly aggressive, but we do need to believe in our value. This is not a time to retreat. This is a time to believe in your value, to understand the important work that you do. And people do need to hear from you. They're aching to hear from you. And they're actually open to conversations that they might not have had before that now they're open to. And so we've got to make sure that we appropriately extend ourselves forward to reach out and help folks. This is missionary, right? This is really bringing the important work you do to people. By the way, if you'd like to get these slides, just shoot me an email. There's my email address, billcates@referralcoach.com. Just put NAIFA slides or NAIFA live in the subject line. I'll know what that means. You can make a comment if you want, something you liked, or if you have a question, I'm happy to do that. I'm going to be very accessible everybody here today. So please don't hesitate to do that if you want to slide. By the way, we will have a question and answer session after I'm done. We're going to have kind of a virtual book signing. I'll explain that as we go. And that's a chance for questions. So if you have questions, we will have that opportunity after my formal remarks and then a short break. There's another reminder about that thing there. All right, so here's the challenge that we face moving forward, right? As we slowly are able to get back into a growth mode, the challenge is that our prospects' brains are overwhelmed, right? It's been estimated that the average person gets 3,000 marketing messages a day. Now, I don't know if that's gotten worse or better over the last few weeks, but we know it's a lot, and people are pulled in a lot of different directions. Kids are home when they're not normally home. There's just a lot going on. So how do we get through these people, right? How do we cut through all this noise that's out there? And how do we stand out? How do we look a little different and stand out in the marketplace to be able to garner their attention? Well, what we need to do is we need to hit the bullseye in their brain, right? The bullseye in their brain that our message resonates with, so we'll attract their attention and then moves them to take action, right? It's not just grabbing their attention, but also moving them to take action. And that's what this program is about. How do we hit the bullseye in the brain? Now, in my book, Radical Relevance, we have a chapter called the neuroscience of relevance. And I've learned a lot about the brain lately. And what I learned is that 6 times a second, your brain, my brain, your prospect's brain, 6 times a second, it's going, am I safe? Where am I? Am I safe? Where am I? Am I safe? Right? Keep the organism alive. Keep the organism safe. 3 times a second, it's going, is there an opportunity? Right? Squirrel. But only when it feels safe. So what does that teach us about our messaging? It teaches us that primary is safety, eliminating problems, removing fears, removing concerns. Second to that is taking advantage of opportunities. So in our messaging, we usually want to lead with empathy for their challenges, empathy for a lot of confusing information, empathy for, conflicting information, et cetera, out there in the environment. And it's our job to clarify and simplify things so they can make the right decisions, make the right decisions moving forward. So we live in a radically relevant world. Let me give you a couple examples about this and how this impacts us. So if you go on Amazon and you're looking for a book, I just happened to find this one, coincidence, huh? It'll say people who, read this book or bought this book also bought this or considered this. And if you're a Prime member and shipping is free, you go, oh, what the heck, I'll read that book too, right? It's all, their algorithms are all about creating relevance. Google, you got a 7-word search in mind. You're in your 2nd word and it already knows what you're looking for. It's kind of scary, but it's all about relevance. When's the last time you went shopping for water? Still water, fizzy water, flavored water, smart water, dumb water. Why do the manufacturers of water do that? They do it to be relevant. They want to have the right product at the right time for the right person with the right message. It's all about being radically relevant. I love this example of billboards. You may not realize this, but a lot of billboards are programmed by their advertisers based on the driving apps, Waze and Google Maps, and they take the data of the demographics of people that are driving by the signs, and the ads on the signs change based on the demographics of people that are driving by at any given time of day. Now, some of these signs are equipped with pollen sensors, and when the pollen count gets to a certain level, it triggers ads for the local pharmacy and or allergy medicine. We live in a radically relevant world. People are expecting us to know a little something about them when we reach out to them. The more we know, the more we display we know about them, the more relevant and therefore the more effective our messaging is, right? So a little bit more on the brain here. The purpose of the brain is to keep us alive and to conserve energy. So therefore, we have to move towards clarity. We have to help. If we have messaging that's confusing in any way, then the brain will kind of shut down. It's tempted to shut down to it. So we've got to be careful about our cleverness and our creativity getting in the way of clarity when we're conveying our messaging. For example, one advisor I talked to a few years ago used to describe his business by saying, I'm a financial nutritionist. Financial nutritionist. I kind of get it, but I'm not really sure. What time's our tea time? Are we ready to go? Right? It's like we've got to be careful that it doesn't get in the way of clarity because the brain craves clarity. And you'll see how we go in today's program about making sure that we're bringing the right message to the right person at the right time in a way that's most effective. So where do we communicate our value? Well, everywhere. And if you have people who work with you or for you, every time they talk about the business in one way or another, they are communicating the value. And one important thing you want to consider is getting everyone on your team who works with you, for you, on the same message to make sure that we're saying the right things and bringing in the right people to our business. So when you communicate your value on your website, which is a good place to kind of get started to look, or LinkedIn profile is a good template to look at. When I coach with folks, that's usually the first two places I go because it gives me a sense of what that person, how they think and feel about their value. But really, anywhere we're conveying our value, what's the purpose, right? What are we trying to accomplish? Are we just trying to say, here's who I am, this is what I do? Is there a little more to it? One of the biggest mistakes that I found that financial professionals and a lot of other business people make is they're trying to impress the people that visit their LinkedIn profile or their website, right? They're leading with their credentials, Barron's Hall of Fame advisor, or, top of the table, quarter of the table, whatever. They're trying to impress people, but that's a mistake. It doesn't mean we won't have a chance to do that, but not yet. It's not the first things out of your mouth or on the page. So I want to borrow a metaphor from Star Wars, which really is representative of all the hero journey kind of movies and stories that are out there. So the early Star Wars, the hero was, of course, Luke Skywalker. And so hero meets a guide. Guide Yoda was. And then the guide and the hero fight the villain, right? In this case, Darth Vader. So I want to make sure that when you're talking about your value, that you and your team are positioning yourself as the guide, not the hero. It's your prospects, it's your clients are the hero. They want to be the hero. They need to be the hero of their own story. And you want to make sure you describe what you do in a way that pulls them in. Here's one word that'll make a huge difference for you in terms of marketing and selling, and that's empathy. Our message needs to display empathy for their situation. And obviously, the more we know about them going in, the more clear we are on who we're trying to attract, then the better we can be at displaying that sense of empathy that will then pull them into our story. So what villain are you fighting with your clients? It could be just all the confusing information that's out there, right? Annuities are bad, says, I'm forgetting, I've lost the guy's name, Ken, right? It says annuities are bad, right? Some people are saying, oh, annuities are great. Well, annuities aren't good or bad, are they? Annuities are just a tool, right? And for the right person in the right place at the right time, they can be very relevant. I bought an annuity about three months ago, thankfully, with the higher value dollars in my investment account. And so what is the villain that you're trying to fight with your clients? Quite often it's confusing, the confusion going into retirement, all the decisions they need to make. Am I going to have enough money? All of those are the villains out there. So to give you an example of how I'm trying to take this idea of presenting myself as the guide and not the hero on my LinkedIn account, and feel free to join me on LinkedIn, love to have you. In my About section, it says, enough about me, let's talk about you. And I do that as kind of the way to look a little bit different, attract the attention. My first two paragraphs in the About page are about the people visiting. Maybe you're an individual financial professional and you're looking for this, or maybe you're a leader in a company, a sales manager or whatever, and this is what you're trying to accomplish. Well, here's why I might be a guide for you. I don't say those exact words, but first I want to pull them in a little so they feel like I have a sense of who they are, and then I talk about my credentials, books I've written, and all that sort of stuff. So that's an example of how I've done this, put that to practice in my own business. So first of all, we're trying to communicate our value in a way that shows that we know they're the hero of their story, and we're the guide. We're not the hero. Second of all, we're obviously trying to attract the right people to our business. Now, if you're brand new in this business, they fog a mirror. You'll talk to them, right? Meaning they're breathing. But a lot of you here have been at this for a while, and you're not looking for just anybody. And so you want to make sure all the verbiage that you use, all your messaging is geared towards attracting the right people and repelling the wrong people. And I hate to use the word repel. It sounds kind of negative. Well, we'll leave them for someone else who would be excited to work with those folks. And the mistake that a lot of folks make is when they're crafting their messaging, they're expanding the tent. They're thinking, well, I don't want to leave these people out, and I don't want to leave these people out. The problem is when we expand our messaging and we expand the tent, we actually weaken our messaging. So the more precise, the better. We're also trying to create action, are we not? We want them to reply to our email or return a voicemail or follow a request of ours, whatever it is. We want to make sure that in every communication we have, pages on our website, et cetera, there's always a call to action. Marketers call it a CTA, call to action. Don't ever assume that anyone knows what they should do, what the next step is. Make it as crystal clear as you possibly can. Tell them and or ask them what you want them to do, because we're not just trying to attract people, we're trying to move them to take action. So please make sure that all your messaging is relevant enough to attract the right people and compelling enough to create that movement, to create action. So we do have 3 continuing education questions here to make sure you get your CE for the folks where the CE's been approved. And so Artem, if you want to put up that first question or state it, then now's the time.
All right, so the question's launching right about now.
There it
Your
is.
first question is, on your website, are you positioning your clients as the heroes?
All right, are you doing it? No, I haven't thought of it that way, or maybe a little bit. You might start with, you want a successful retirement, right? That's good, right? You want a successful retirement. That shows that they're the hero, right? And here's how you work with us. So maybe you're doing that to a little bit. Or are you leading with your credential? Are you saying, the number one, firm in this city, or whatever the things that people say around? I guarantee when I look at financial advisor websites, in most cases, they're falling into that trap of trying to impress and create credential too soon. It doesn't mean you don't do that. First, you have to pull people in, and it's usually the banner on the website that's going to do that, maybe a little verbiage below, and then you start to establish your credential and why you can be the guide. So I know we're waiting for the polls to populate here a little bit.
Yeah, just a quick reminder, you've got only about half the people have voted. So if you have not voted yet, you've got about another 15 seconds before we close off as to not delay the presentation.
Yeah, so guys, the reason we do this, because the CE credit folks need to know that you are paying attention and you're not multitasking. So please put a vote in there and we'll share the results and we'll see how people are doing around this.
All right, so we're about 61%. We're going to close it out and then I'll give you the, people all of a sudden are waking up. As it stands right now, Bill, you've got about 20% yes. You got about 47% sitting at a yes, but not fully. And you got about 33% with a hard no.
So what that shows us is that there's some work to be done. And you don't have to run out and do it this afternoon, but just think in terms of these concepts. And it's not just on your website or a LinkedIn profile. It's really anywhere. It's anytime you're talking about what you do, you don't want to be leading with you, the hero. You want to be leading with them, the hero, and that you have empathy and knowingness around their situation. So let's keep going a little bit. In my book, Radical Relevance, that a lot of this is what we're talking about is based on. It's not just the book. It's if you get the book, whether it's the audio or the Kindle or the paperback, or I'll give you a chance to get the hardcover autographed by me in just a second. You also tap into the Radical Relevance Toolkit. And so the Radical Relevance Toolkit is filled with resources. I only have room on the slide for a few, but how to build a radically relevant LinkedIn profile, how to create your value proposition, how to build a radically relevant website, scripts around all the things we're talking about, action guide to put what we talk about into action. I like to have fun with radically relevant gifts and how to do that. So we're doing something a little different here. This is an experiment. And the neat thing about what's going on in this virus, and this not to diminish the challenges a lot of families and suffering really that people are facing, but it is a time to be innovative as well, is it not? And we're all trying to be innovative, and NAIFA wants to be innovative. So they decided they wanted to have a virtual book signing. So if you're inclined to get the book, you just go buyradicalrelevance.com. And what'll happen is you get a little discount on the hardcover, and I will see the orders coming in eventually, and then I will sign them on the air, if you will. We'll have that little break. We're going to have that question and answer session, and then we'll look at orders. You can ask a question. I'll sign a book to you, and then we'll get it out to you. So it's just kind of a way to have a little bit of fun. So this is what the order form looks like. Put your NAIFA member in there. If you are a NAIFA member, please add the NAIFA member. So we know that gives us a little more information on you, not me personally, but the NAIFA folks, to make sure that we know who you are. We get the book to you, make sure everything runs smoothly. And so, like I said, we'll have a virtual book signing and a Q&A immediately following the session after a little bio break. So we're gonna have a little fun with that, and that's where we'll take all the questions. All right, so just go by radicalrelevance.com. All right, so chapter 1 in the book is the 17 rules of radical relevance. Don't worry, I'm not going to go through all 17 rules, but these are some of the guiding principles upon which the book is based. And so rule number 1 is the straightest line to relevance with a prospect is an introduction from someone they trust, right? If you're trying to reach someone who doesn't know you and you don't know them, the easiest way to get on their radar to become relevant in their life is an introduction from someone they do know, right? So this whole idea of referrals and introductions, that hasn't gone away. In fact, it's probably more important now than ever. And in most cases, we're probably going to generate an email introduction. So I have a report that I will send you. It's not in the slides, but if you get the slides, if you just request the slides from me, it's a report on 3 different ways to create email introductions so that you can get on someone's radar in a really strong way. So make sure I get that from you, and we'll get that to you. Rule 13, it kind of goes into this hero concept of use more personal messaging. You want in your messaging, in emails and in LinkedIn and websites and all the things you do, you want to move from I and we and our to you and your as much as you can. You can't avoid using the word I and we, but you just want to try to minimize it a little bit, particularly early on in the messaging. Whenever I send an email out to folks, I'm always scanning. I'm looking, have I said I too many times, right? There's a way to bring them into the story a little bit better. So in the book, and therefore in the session, we're going to delineate 2 types of relevance. The first, there's strategic relevance, some of the big decisions that we make, and then we'll get into some tactical relevance. We're going to get very tactical note-taking stuff here for you. So the big decisions are, what is your target market? What does it look like? I suspect some of you already have a nice target market, in which case we might fine-tune your approach a little bit. If you don't yet have a target market, I want to encourage you to do that, and we'll give you a few thoughts on that. And then what is the bullseye in the target market, right? The bullseye is the right fit client. It's the center of that target market, the people you were meant to be served and served by you, and we'll get into detail on that. And then differentiation, and how do you communicate that differentiation? And I know that's a challenge for a lot of folks, but I'll give you some ideas on how to work that up as well. So let's look at the target market. Let's examine this a little bit, the benefits of this, the power of this. First of all, it's easier to identify prospects. If you have a shotgun approach to marketing, if anyone is a prospect, then it's kind of hard to figure out where to go. And it's hard to create a reputation for yourself. Sometimes I call target marketing reputation marketing because it's easier to create a reputation in that target market. You actually bring better value to your target, not just perceived value, but real value. I'll give you a few examples of that moving forward. When you get to know, if it's a large company, you might get to know their company benefits better than the HR department knows, right? So you bring more real value to those people. You join forces with centers of influence. Jeremy is a financial advisor in Canada. His focus is dentists. He found an accounting firm that has a niche market of dentists. It's one of their verticals. And up until the virus hit, they were doing quarterly dinners where they would introduce their dental clients to Jeremy. Jerry would do about 30 minutes of education, have a nice meal with everybody, and always got new clients after that. He didn't have to pay for that, and he would have paid for it, but he actually got a nice meal out of the deal too, and some new clients. So we can join forces with folks, and it's easier to get referrals in a target market, in a vertical market, because you bring more value. They know people like themselves. They see that you're focusing on people like themselves. And then ultimately you're your messaging, right, is more relevant and therefore more effective. A lot of power comes from that. So Todd McDonald, very high up in his company out of about, I don't know, 11, 12,000 advisors out of Albany, New York. When he got into this business, he went to some of the top folks and he says, you know, what would you do differently if you had to start over? And almost to a person, they'd say, I'd stop trying to be all things to all people. I'd find a target. I'd narrow my focus a little bit. So Todd was thinking, well, where do I narrow my focus? Well, he had some experience in the construction industry, kind of like that. And so he went after heavy construction, owners of heavy construction firms. This is his website. This is not a normal financial advisor website, but if you're an owner or an executive with a heavy construction firm, you go, oh, this guy gets our industry a little bit, right? His clients build roads, runways, bridges, commercial buildings, right? And in a minute, I'll share with you how he went from the target of construction down to a bullseye that's created a national reputation for himself. I don't know about you, I kind of missed the clip art of the couple walking hand in hand on the beach, you know, versus that, I don't know, right? Being targeted, right? Tell me about Adam. Adam's in Indianapolis. Adam works with, as you can see, optometrists. He has created a national reputation for himself. He's expanded his geographic influence nationally because he's focused on optometrists, 37,000 optometrists in this country. Now, Adam also has gone from that market of optometrists to something even more narrow than that. I mean, that would be narrow enough, but he's actually gone more narrow, and so we'll see how that served, how he did that in a few minutes. He told me that I was interviewing for an article I wrote recently, and he wished he'd done this years ago. It's just once he finally went all in, right, really fully committed, and changed his website, changed his LinkedIn profile, it made all the difference in the world for his business. Russ Thornton in Atlanta, Wealth Care for Women. It's clear who he works with, right? And it's women in transition. And I love the way he uses words on his website that are not the typical jargon that you hear from financial advisors or the typical marketing speak, right? Clarity and comfort around your money. I love this. You've got money, maybe a lot, right? But you worry about making costly decisions, taking bad advice, losing your financial independence. These are all words that and concepts that are in the minds of his prospects and his clients. He knows these are the words that they're struggling with. So he's becoming pinpoint relevant with these people because of that, right? And I love the fact he's got clarity here. Here's the clarity in moving forward with us. Request a call. We work up, we discover your situation and we create your action plan. I love the fact that he uses the words action plan, right? We don't want to sell a plan. We want to sell a plan of action, a plan for action. There's no point in having a financial plan if it isn't a source of taking action afterwards, right? And then finally, this is all his homepage, he has his why. He has client-focused why here on the page. I love it. Why is this gentleman working with women, right? Why, why? What's his story? How did he come around to this? And he tells the story there a little bit, and it personalizes him and his reason for doing this. And then talk about call to action, request a call. At the bottom of the page, I'm going to go back up a little bit. Top of the page, request a call. It's all over his website. That's the first step. That's the call to action. It's always better when we can have one call to action on any given page, as best as we can possibly do that. I hope you're writing down your questions because we'll have lots of time to handle these questions later. So Aaron, one thing that I've done with Aaron's firm, which has been very advantageous to him, is that we've gotten everyone on the same page to create the right results, right? Everyone on the same page of the value. And that's made a huge difference for his business. So to target or not to target, that's the question. Well, here's why some people don't target. They don't target because they're concerned that, well, what about the clients I have, right? Am I going to have to stop serving them? No, no one says you're going to have to stop serving them. And the fact is those people may very well know other people that you're trying to target. Now, you may at some point decide to scale your business a little bit, and you may find a junior advisor to take on some of those folks. That's certainly okay. The other fear or mistaken assumption is I just focus on these folks, I'm going to miss all this opportunity. And the truth is, yeah, you might miss this opportunity, but guess what? You'll be so successful if you pick a good niche that you won't even notice it. Now, I know that a lot of folks in smaller towns, sometimes picking an industry, or maybe you don't have any large companies in the town, right? Picking an industry, it doesn't make sense because there's not enough of those people in the town. But what we're seeing, of course, is there's a way to create a national reputation for yourself, and using virtual appointments, we're able to expand the geographic reach of our businesses. Here's the bottom line. If you try to appeal to everyone, you run the risk of appealing to no one, right? We've got to think in terms of narrowing our focus, not expanding our focus. Now, we're going to have a continuing ed question coming up in a minute, but I just want to lead into that with a little fun story of something happened with me. I'm a big believer in creating radically relevant gifts for people. Rather than sending generic things, we want to send something that's specific to them, compliance approved, of course. And so I had a client, Craig Strent, who helped me with the writing of Radical Relevance a little bit. And so I took him to breakfast, and I want to do more than just say thank you at breakfast. So I called up Steve Dorfman, who works at this company, and I said, Steve, tell me about Craig's interests. Does he have any sporting interests? Does he follow sports? Does he play golf? What does he do? He says, well, I'll tell you one thing I know about Craig is he's an incredible, lover and respecter of Abraham Lincoln. And I'm thinking, great, I'll buy a book on Abraham Lincoln. And Steve says, he's probably read every book on Abraham Lincoln. Okay, I won't buy a book on Abraham Lincoln. I'll figure out something. And so I hung up, and then right after hanging up, I got an email from Steve. He says, I forgot to tell you that Craig is a member of the Sock of the Month Club, and he likes to wear different fun socks around the office. I go, okay. So I go on to the Relevance machine, Amazon, and I find this very nice bronze statue of Abraham Lincoln, about $35, compliant friendly. And I wanted to invest a little bit of money in this because he really made a big difference for me. And so here I am getting ready to buy this, and Amazon and its incredible Radical Relevance algorithm said, people who bought this also took a look at this. And so I found socks, and certainly for $10, I added socks onto that. I got a call from Craig thanking me for my thank you gift. And he ended up taking me to lunch to say thank you for my thank you gift. So when we take the time, the energy to find something a little special, we get a lot of bang for our buck, and we're becoming more relevant. So Artem, if you'd like to ask the second continuing education question.
All right. Launching the second question here. So the second question is, are you tapping into the power of the target market?
All right, so do you have a target market? One thing I've noticed with a lot of folks is, especially been at this for a while, you might have some kind of target markets growing in your book, right? You have all these people that work at this company, and maybe you have a few business owners in this industry, and all these people are related. It's pretty natural to get that, and one of those could be a target market. You can have more than one target market. I don't recommend that you approach several target markets at one time. I recommend you get established in one a little bit. And then often there's some that are kind of, ancillary to the target market. So for me, like in financial services, I started with companies that were predominantly on the insurance-based type of companies. And then I ended up doing a lot with wirehouses. And then now I do work with banks and with investment bankers and all kinds of others, all but related to financial services, even accountants and whatnot I'm working with as well. So I know some of you are kind of playing around with the target market and maybe haven't jumped in with both feet the way Adam has. And in a second, we're going to get into the bullseye within that target market, and you're going to see how powerful that can become. So how are we doing, Artem? Are people answering this one?
People are answering, but remember, this is like who's landed it anyway. The questions are made up and the points don't matter. So vote away and get your CE credits.
Very good. So
we're about 62% in, 63. I'll just start sharing the results with you, Bill. We've got about 21% that said yes. They are tapping into the power of the target market. We got about 52% that said yes, but not fully. And about 26 are hovering around the hard no.
Right, gotcha. So if you're not sure about this, where do you start? Where do you figure out your target market? It could very well be in your book of business. It could be right in front of you. It's just a matter of making that the decision to explore more. Go to your clients, go to these people, say, I'm thinking about focusing a little bit more on people like yourself. The three main overarching categories of target market would be business owners in a specific industry, as we saw, optometrists or heavy construction. It could be employees in a large company, Luke Wiley in Cincinnati, Procter & Gamble, or it could be universities, right? Faculty and administrators in universities as well. So let's reach to the bullseye now. Let's get a little bit narrower. So what is a right fit client for you, right? What is a right fit client for you? Well, a right fit client is someone you are meant to serve and someone who's meant to be served by you. Someone who really appreciates your value for all the reason you want them to appreciate your value. Your message resonates with them, right? You display empathy for their situation. They're a joy to work with. And so let me give you the path from Adam and Todd McDonald. So Todd, he wanted to work with wealthier individuals, like what financial advisor doesn't want that. He knows that, business owners, there's a lot of wealth in business owners. Okay, I'll focus on those folks. But what about business owners within a specific industry? I kind of have an affinity for heavy construction, so I'll focus on those. And then as he was working with those folks, he finally found his bullseye. And if you ask Todd who he served, he'll tell you family-owned, closely held, heavy construction companies, right? Family-owned, closely held, heavy construction companies. That's his bullseye. He has a national reputation for his business. People are calling him because he is the guy in that particular bullseye. Adam, kind of a similar journey. He wanted to go after wealthy individuals. All right, same thing, right? He decided first, what he called white coat professionals, doctors, dentists, pharmacists, and optometrists, right? But he realized as he got into that, that's really four very different niches with different concerns, different ways to reach these people, almost four different businesses. So he focused on optometrists. It didn't hurt that his wife is an optometrist. And what's happened is Adam is not only a financial advisor to optometrists, he's a business consultant to optometrists. He's really found a way to bring tremendous value to these folks. But he's also found his bullseye. His bullseye are optometrists that want to sell their business within 5 years. That's it. Just because you're an optometrist doesn't mean he's going to work with you. You have to want to sell your business on track within 5 years. And again, he's created a national reputation for himself. You don't have to want to create a national reputation for yourself, but this starts to draw people to you, right? It pulls people to you. And this is how you stand out. And this is how you're different in the marketplace. First of all, you understand the demographic aspects of your target market and your bullseye, right? You figure what those things are. That's usually pretty easy to figure out. But then from there comes something a little bit different, the psychographics. There's a technique called, or a research device called magnetic resonance tomography. And Antonio Damasio used this technology to discover that subjects that had the part of the brain that was damaged, these people could not feel emotion, right? Part of the brain damaged, could not feel emotion. They could not make decisions. No ability to make a decision, no ability to feel emotion, locked. So we know that every decision that every human being makes is based in emotion. Even the illustrations you provide that are logical, the statistics you provide, the things that the numbers that you quote, the survey, all of that, right, creates an emotional response. And that's what we need to create. So that's the psychographic side. And your bullseye, they're going to have different kinds of concerns and fears and challenges and opportunities and aspirations than another bullseye, than another target might have. And so what happens is when you get this narrow, you get inside their brain, you get inside their heart. You really, truly do understand them in a way that other people don't understand them. And they get that. They see it in your words. They feel it in your language. This is what allows you to expand your practice and separate yourself from everybody else out there. Now, this is a mythical bullseye client, Edward Entrepreneur, right? On the left side is the demographic. On the right side is the psychographic. And so a lot of folks are actually getting as pinpoint specific as they possibly can. Can you have more than one bullseye in a business? Yeah, absolutely. In fact, let me tell you about Lizzie Dip Metzger out of Austin. She has 5 bullseyes, right? You go to her website and you see the 5 bullseyes. If you're a business owner, you click here. If you're a physician, you click here. If you're a retiree, you click here. And then you get a page devoted to each one where she then has a message that's specific to those people. So the physician, watch a video, etc. She has photographs that are very well done. At first, when I saw these, I thought these were clip art, but they're not. They're real clients. And so she's taking on the power of social proof. You know, as financial advisors, we're not allowed to get testimonials like the average business can. But so how do we tap into this power of social proof? Well, photographs of our clients, and we could be with the clients. And that's a way to kind of get through to that. And so she has a page for each one. Mickey Rosenzweig, originally based in New York City, now has an office in Florida as well. Most of his clients are physicians and specialists. And he catches the specialists when they're young, early in their career. And then, of course, they make huge incomes over time. But he also serves business owners. And he didn't want to exclude them from his website. He wanted to have something that was relevant to both. So you go to his website, his page, you see, business owners, click here, right? And get the information relevant to you. Healthcare professionals, click here, get the information relevant to you. And so it's hard when you have more than one bullseye to have, copy and promotional copy that's going to speak to everybody at the same time. So you want to have them self-identify and move into the website that way. Essentially, the more precise, the more powerful it will be. So we have our third and final continuing education question. Artem, you're on.
All right, thanks, Bill. Prompting this next one here. All right, launching now. Have you identified the bullseye for your business?
And I'll elaborate on that. Do you know who your perfect right fit client is or are? You could have more than one. I usually don't recommend more than 3. Lizzie has 5. It works for her. She's extremely successful. She's led her company in sales. So who am I to argue with that, right? But what you want to do is you want to make sure when they come to your website, come to your LinkedIn profile, that it's very clear where they should click to get the rest of the information. Now, obviously, when you're talking about your value and you're speaking to someone on the phone or an email, and they're in a particular niche, they fit a specific bullseye, then you're going to communicate to them in that way. And then there's the general places like our website where we have to make sure that it's very clear that we work with more than one type of person. So you can have more than one, but I got to tell you, if you want to attract certain people into your business, the first thing you got to do is get crystal clear on who those people are. What are the demographics and what are the psychographics? What are the demographic aspects, age, finances, family structure, locality, all of that stuff. And then what are they thinking? What are they feeling? What are their concerns? What are their aspirations? And the tighter and tighter you get with that, the more effective you will be in this business. So Artem, why don't you give us the results?
Right now, we've got about 62% of the votes coming in. So we've got a 22% going yes, they have identified their bullseye. About 50% said no, yes, but not fully. And about 28 are hovering around the no marker.
It's interesting that all 3 questions, we had similar results, right? About 20% or so had done this. A big chunk in the center had not, and then a few others had done anything in this arena. I don't know what that means exactly, but I find that kind of fascinating. So let's keep going, guys. I got a lot more to give you. Make sure if you want to get the reports I mentioned and you want to get the slides, just send me an email, Bill Cates, Referral Coach. Make sure if you want to get the book and you want to have it signed on the air virtually, and then we'll mail it to you, of course, go to buyradicalrelevance.com. I think I have a page for that. There it is. And remember, you get access to the Radical Relevance Toolkit as well. And we're going to see the orders coming in, and we'll compile them. And I got a bunch of books behind me. I'm ready to sign them. Just having a little fun, trying to be a little creative around this. If you don't buy a book, no big deal. I hope you're getting value from this session. So let's get tactical, shall we? In the time we have left, what makes you different? Big question, right? Well, the radical rule of relevance number 5 says only differences that matter, matter. Meaning you can talk about hobbies, you can talk about other interests, you can talk about anything you want. You can talk about the fact you like to cook. You can talk about the fact that you're a financial nutritionist, whatever that means. But if it doesn't matter to the prospect, it doesn't matter. And so, you know, how do you set yourself apart? What are some sources of differentiation? Well, you already saw that a target market can be huge. And the more narrow that target market, the more sense of differentiation from other people. And it's not talking bad about anybody else out in the world. There's a lot of financial advisors. They all do, well, most of them do great work. And you're not making anyone feel bad. It's just, this is your specialty, right? Now, you may have a very special expertise, credentialing or certification. Perhaps your expertise is in families with special needs children, right? And I've seen many advisors do very well with that over time. They've kind of developed organically, and they bring a lot of value because they understand the circumstances and some things that can be done financially around that. It could be your special process for uncovering gaps or problems, right? Your discovery tool, your fact finder, what you do. By the way, if you've kind of created your own, I hope you've named it and you put a TM after it. Make sure it's yours, because then only you have that, and that's a differentiator. Your process for continuing to add value can be that. I know many advisors, when they start to describe, here's how we'll stay in touch. This is what it will look like moving forward. We'll meet together in person twice a year. We'll have phone reviews the other times of the year. We'll do this. We got this educational event, client appreciation events, whatever yours look like. As you start to talk about that, you create that sense of engagement and you separate yourself from other people out there just by how you stay in touch. And if you're not really sure, go talk to your clients. Another radical rule of relevance is give your clients a seat at the table. If you're not sure what makes you a little bit different, talk to some of your clients. They'd be happy to tell you why they work with you. Here's a great question to ask. You know, have you ever talked about me to anyone else? Have you ever, you know, what do you say? Or if you were to introduce me to someone else, what would you say? And if they said, you know, what makes him different or her different, what would you say? And you're going to learn a lot of great stuff from your clients. I had one of my clients, Michael Schmitz, out in San Mateo, California. I was doing one of these interviews with him. He says, you know, Bill, you make asking for referrals as natural as breathing. I go, whoa, that's pretty good. I never would have thought of saying that. Can I quote you? He says, yeah, by all means. Now, I'm not going to say that. That sounds kind of arrogant. But if I quote my client, now all of a sudden, not so bad, right? It separates me a little bit. So I have a formula I want to share with you. And it goes simple as this. Anyone can, but only we can. And you'll see how the words change a little bit. For example, and the for example is very important. And if you want to try this out and run it by me, I'd be happy to see what you do. So let me give you a couple of examples, right? Many financial advisors can talk to you about various financial tools, products. That's not hard to find. But very few specialize in working with businesses and business owners of your size. Our expertise allows us to do this. We anticipate your needs. For example, all right? Here's another one. I really like this one. This is a real one. It came from one of my coaching clients. But very few have the depth of knowledge that I do about your benefits package. By focusing on your firm, I'm able to anticipate challenges and opportunities that others simply can't, resulting in a better course of action, right? Resulting not in a better plan, resulting in a better course of action. For example, this guy asked me, he says, Bill, one of my clients said to me, I know more about the benefits package than the HR department. Should I say that? I said, no, I don't think you want to say that, because that might come across kind of arrogant and a little demeaning to the HR people, and you don't want to do that. But if your client says it for you, then maybe it's something you can say, right? So you find a way to get that in without you actually saying the word yourself. You're quoting your client. So this is a great little formula that allows you to separate yourself. You know, if you want the slides, you want to examine this further, I get it. Just shoot me that email and I'll get the slides to you. People only care about your differentiations that are relevant to them, right? Not relevant, doesn't matter, doesn't matter. Hope you're buying the book, Radical Relevance. If not, no big deal. I'm still trying to bring value to you, but we'll see the order come in. I'll sign them on the air. We'll have some fun. And if you're interested in going a little deeper with this, I'm scheduling complimentary strategy sessions, no charge. We'll talk about your situation, how you talk about your value, referrals if you want to talk about that, introductions, centers of influence. I'm not traveling like I usually do, giving speeches to NAIFA chapters. like I love to do. My last chapter was St. Louis, actually, in March. March 12th was the last speech I gave, was in NAIFA St. Louis. We were expecting to have about 50 people. 12 brave souls showed up. We kept our social distance and we did the thing. But if you'd like a strategy session, love to get you on the calendar and see how I can help. All right. So I'll finish up with just asking you a question. And I always do this when I'm in a live session. I go, knowledge is, and most people say power. And I go, no, actually knowledge is worthless, right? This time we spend is worthless unless what? Unless you take action, right? It's all about taking action. So if you want to get the book and hang with me, and I'll sign the book for you. Also, if you just have questions that you want to ask, hang in for that too. You don't have to buy a book to ask me questions. It's fine. We'll be happy to serve you. So we'll have someone else come on to finish this up. And it's always a pleasure working with NAIFA. I love the organization, love speaking at the chapters. Look, when we're starting to do live stuff again, bring me on out and we'll have some fun and we'll go into more depth around these things. And so I will shut up for a minute. We'll probably end up taking a little bit of break and then we'll come back with some questions and some fun book signing. Take it away.
All right. Thanks, Bill. Thank you again for that amazing presentation that you did. As a reminder to everybody, if you've been to previous NAIFA Live sessions, we have done a question and answer session right afterwards with the speaker in the spirit of doing something new. As you can see on the screen, we are going to be doing a virtual book signing as well as a Q&A session in about 10 minutes. So this way it'll allow people to do a quick bio break. If you have any additional questions that you would like to ask, please type them in the question and answer session and into the section of the Zoom. This way we can field those questions to Bill as he's going to be signing the books virtually. So once again, we're going to do a quick 10-minute break and we'll be back right after these messages.
Artem, should I stop my share or do I leave it up?
Go ahead and stop your share, Bill.
Okay, that's what I'll do.
Hello, everyone. We'll be getting ready to get started in about 2 to 3 minutes. We'll be starting in about 2 to 3 minutes. All right, Bill, you can let me know when you are ready and we can start.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Sharing my screen here. And let me pin you.
Yeah, we got some, I'm signing books here.
All right.
So I'm guessing you can ask me questions. I'll tell you whose book I'm signing and we'll just kind of multitask. Does that sound good?
Sounds good on my end. Let's see. We've got a couple of questions that came in through the general question and answer.
Let me just say, I just signed Craig Abington. You were the first order, so you get yours signed first. We'll get that book to you as quickly as possible. Thank you for that. Much appreciated.
All right. So if there's multiple ways of doing this, you can either raise your hand and I can unmute you if you wanted to ask Bill a question. If you do not have a microphone or you don't feel comfortable speaking, feel free to put your questions in the question and answer button on the bottom of your screen. It'll say Q&A and there should be a place where you can actually put in the chat there and we'll be fielding from there. So
Great. And William Rowell, just signed your book. Thank you so much.
So the first question that we have here is actually coming out of Chad Barnes. He said, would it be better to have a different website for each bullseye category or one website with different links?
I would say it depends a little bit. In most cases, I would probably say no, because then it could get kind of confusing unless they're really different. But let's say you work with business owners and maybe families and physicians, just hypothetically. I think you can have an overarching banner, helping you prepare for successful retirement or taking the fear and worry out of money or whatever that might be, that can really relate to all three categories. And then pretty quickly, right after that, you want to have, essentially if you're a physician, click here, business owner here, everyone else click here. So one of my coaching clients works with a lot of Verizon employees, helping them get ready for retirement. So if Verizon employees click here, other individuals click here. I would only do that if it's really separate and you're really marketing the different groups and you want to have them go to a page dedicated to them. Otherwise, probably not necessary. And
all right.
Keith Barron, I'm going to sign your book right now.
All right, and I've got a William Brunchke. I'm sorry if I butchered that name. I've been about to unmute you so you can ask Bill your question.
Hey.
All right, William, you're on. Go ahead.
Are you there, William? I know some people
Yeah,
raise.
I'm here.
Oh, please, you're on the air, sir.
You're good. Yeah, I was interested at this time in history. I was asking you, do you have a market insurance company that sells non-convertible, non-renewable on a non-med term insurance with level commissions with a non-med application only? I'm interested in selling a policy like this at this time in history.
All right, well, that's a question for anyone but me. I apologize.
Well, I thought you might know. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, I don't.
Does anybody there know?
Maybe in
It's
the
on with
chat,
you.
that could be put into the chat and people can respond in the chat. Artem, you think that's a good place for the chat?
I have that I have that question in the chat, and I will actually save that question, and I'll see if there's a way we can
Good.
get you that answer, William.
Good.
Well, you have my email address, I hope, or my phone number, 630-971-3648, to discuss that with me if you have an answer. And I'm really interested in doing this. And the amounts of the insurance can be any amount with those parameters from 50 grand all the way up in that situation. But I'm looking for that at this particular point in time, and I'd be appreciative if somebody would know that, because I can't seem to find one myself at this time.
All right, that is
Right, good.
I have that question written down and saved, so when it comes down to it, I'll see what we can do for you if we're able to provide it.
Thank you much. Call anytime.
Tim Sedevi, I guess, if I pronounce it right. That's books for you, and I'll be going out. Thank you for that. Much appreciated. Thanks for being a member of NAIFA. Other questions coming in?
We have another question here that's in the chat from Stephanie Gum. Would you suggest starting a target market more broadly and then move into the bullseye, or start with the bullseye? Example, start with the optometrists, or start with the optometrists that will sell in 5 years?
Yeah, I think unless you're really crystal clear about what that bullseye is going in, most people start a little broader. They start on the industry perhaps, or even a company, right? You could start on a company and decide, all right, I do my best work and I resonate best with middle managers. It's something you'll learn as you go, or with high level or rank and file, whatever it may be. Same thing in a business. Usually you realize, I like this business, this resonates, or I used to be in this business, I know this business a little bit. And then usually what happens is, as you work with folks, you start to see that a pattern emerges with the types of people your work resonates with, who you personally resonate with, and that starts to narrow your focus a little bit. And you don't have to go to a bullseye as narrow as Adam or Todd did. You could just stay on the level of physicians. You could stay on the level of veterinarians, or business owners in the printing industry, whatever it may be. So yeah, I hope that answers the question. And Nick Davidson, your book is signed, ready to go. Thank you so much for that. This is fun. I've never done anything like this. Hope people are enjoying it.
All right, so here we go. We have another question that came in. Once again, Stephanie, thank you for that last question. This one comes in all the way from Nashville, Tennessee, from Mr. John D. Richardson. Bill, have you ever been to Nashville, Tennessee? And after this COVID-19 season is over, would you be willing to be a speaker in our 2020 NAIFA Tennessee Roadshow in August?
Yes, thank you. Of course, I would. In fact, I was in Tennessee in January. I was in Knoxville. And then earlier in the year, I did a program in Knoxville and Nashville and somewhere else. So I love Tennessee. Be happy to do that. I know you use my colleague Gail Goodman for one of your road shows. Gail's a good friend, and our stuff meshes very nicely. So thank you. Yeah, just shoot me an email, Bill at Referral Coach. And Heather, Chancon, I know I'm butchering your last name. I apologize. In Nebraska, this book is for you.
All right. We've got, let's see what we got here. We have Joshua Herbst that was asking where he did not receive the info to purchase the book. Joshua, you can actually purchase it at Buy Radical Relevance. .com.
Yeah, BUY. Thank you for
And
that.
so-
Robert McDowell, sign in your book now. Thank you.
Joshua, did you have a question for Mr. Cates? Oh, we have a Thomas Clark that has a question. Thomas, I'm about to unmute you.
All right. I feel like I'm like on a radio show, you know, first time caller, long time listener.
All right,
Yes.
Thomas, you're on the air.
Okay, I'm just in the process of heading for another meeting, but I signed up for the toolkit. Does it come by email or does it come by US mail or how do we get
You purchased the book?
just the book?
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, so what'll happen is you go to page like 10 or 11, and I'm going to send out information to everybody who purchased the book because I have the emails in front of me, and I'll shoot that to you. I'll shoot the special website for you to go get it. So you'll have that before the end of the day, I guarantee it. And then the book will
Thank
come
you.
a few days after that. All right?
Thank you for
You're
your
quite welcome. And Aubrey Shaw, sign in your book now. Thank you very much. Another question?
Let's see, there was a question as to where on the websites will these slides be. These will be available after the broadcast and after we've published the recording at the live.naifa.org site. There will be a section that says access archives or previous presentations. You can click on that, log in using your member number or your regular credentials, and you'll have access to not only the recording of this presentation, but also the slides from this presentation.
All right, John Richardson, sign in your book now. Thank you from Nashville. Much appreciated, John. Any other questions?
Do we have any other questions coming in? Don't be shy. As you can see, this is a very informal discussion. You may have a question that someone else might have not thought of.
You know, I'll answer a question that often gets asked is like, how you know, I displayed a way to be a little bit proactive around referrals right now, a little softer way, right? Planting the seed. How are your parents? How's your brother? How's your sister? Here's what's happening. A lot of advisors are not following through. We are, you know, we're never too busy. But I think once you get through that phase one we talk about, and you know, you've talked to your A clients, you've helped them feel a little bit better about where they are, then you can call them back. And, you know, I make the referral process mostly about the value that we bring to others, the relationship we've established. It's not the old methodology is, you know, I get paid in two ways, and one way is referrals, or, you know, I'm trying to build my business and I can really use your help. That's kind of an old advisor agent methodology. I want to make the referral conversation mostly about the relationship and the value. And with that said, if we have a good relationship with our clients, we can ask for help. We can ask for help to help others. And so you can go back to your clients and you can say, you know, as I might have mentioned last time we talked, a lot of advisors are not reaching out to their clients. There's a lot of people out there that are not talking to someone they need to talk to. And there's a lot of anxiety going on out there. And so I just wanted to let you know, I'm kind of on a personal mission to reach as many people as I can, to see if I can ease their fears, to see if I can be valuable to them in any way, whether we do business together, it doesn't matter. I mean, you can adjust this to make it work for you. I was hoping we could put our heads together for a minute, brainstorm a little, see if we can identify a few folks that you think should know about what we do. I was thinking a little bit about your sister and brother-in-law. How do you feel about introducing me to them? Right? So there does come a time where we get into a little new normal. Hopefully what we're in now is not the new normal. Things will settle a little bit. We start to get out and about a little bit more. And you can go back and you can ask for referrals or introductions. In fact, I do recommend that when you're having this conversation, that you're using the word introductions mostly, right? We use the word referrals a lot, but mostly when you're doing this, you want to be asking for introductions because you do want to get connected. And for those of you who've asked for the slides, and a lot of you have, into my email, I will be sending you that little report I wrote on the 3 different ways to create email introductions. And now I'm going to sign a book for David Lloyd and see if any other questions have come through.
We do have another question that came through. One is going to be, it's an anonymous attendee, would like to know some of the emails you featured included options for persons to select. how does an advisor look into this tool for him or herself?
I'm not sure I got that question. Your words faded off a little bit at the end. What?
I'll repeat it once again. Some of the emails you featured included options for persons to select. How does an advisor look into this tool for him or herself?
Oh, in other words, a tool that we're using for you to opt in to get the report, I guess is what they're asking. So yeah, if you go get the report, it asks, are you an individual advisor? Are you a leader or a manager? Are you something else? And maybe they're interested in that technology. There's a lot of ways to do that, but shoot me an email, Bill Cates at Referral Coach, and I'll see if I can answer the question a little bit offline on that one. Give you a few ideas on that. Thank you.
And then we have Angie that was saying that she's new to the industry. She's just wondering how the CE credits come through. Angie, if your state applied for CEs for this presentation, we did put the outline available for all the states. If they applied for CE and it was approved, then we will send your name to that state. They will file it on your behalf. If you want to shoot me an email, you can do that, or I can actually reach out to you to see exactly which state you come from, and we can work that out later for you.
Very good. Terry Anderson, book for you. Thank you so much. Much appreciated.
Another question that came in was from Craig Adamson. He said, besides Radical Relevance, what is your favorite book you've read in the last 3 months, or a favorite from your bookshelf behind you? And he, thanks again for signing.
Other than Beyond Referrals and Get More Referrals Now, I'll tell you a book that I read that I really liked, and I actually quote a little bit of it in my book, is Building Your Story Brand by Donald Miller. I should get a commission on that because I probably helped him sell a lot of books, but Building Your Story Brand, Donald Miller, is a good book. I'll tell you another book I just got from a colleague of mine, Mark Hunter, called A Mind for Sales. And what I like about it, it's about the mindset, the thinking around sales that we need to bring to the sales process. And as most of us know, if we don't have the right mindset, then all the strategies and tactics in the world won't be that effective. So it's called A Mind for Sales by Mark Hunter. So those are a couple there. Thank you, and thanks for getting the book, sir. I appreciate it.
We also have a question. Are you a Terp?
Am I a Terp? I'm a Terp. I went to the University of Maryland. You're probably seeing that. University of Maryland football. My staff got that for me a number of years ago when Ralph Friedgen was still the coach. Go Terps. Danny Hankins, autographing your book right now. Thanks, Danny. Any other questions?
Do we have any other questions that are going to be coming in?
Well, let me give you one. So some people are asking, all right, in this virtual world, can you ask referrals using Zoom or GoToMeeting or Skype or whatever you might be doing? And the answer is yes, you can. Now, the best way to ask referrals, I should say introductions, certainly is in person. Without question, that's the best way. But the neat thing with, with Zoom now and GoToMeeting is that people are learning how to use this technology. Let me give you a pet peeve. Can I give you a pet peeve or a hint that a lot of people don't share? Let me put my autographing equipment down here for a second. So if you have a client on the screen and you're looking at the screen to look at the client, you're not really looking at the client, right? I'm looking at the screen and now I'm looking at you by looking at the camera. So whenever I do a webinar, I hope you noticed it, 85, 90% of the time, I'm looking at that little dot on my camera to make sure that I am looking at you and making eye contact with you. And that takes a little getting used to, but that's important. And so when you do that and you have this opportunity, you're almost in person and you can definitely ask for introductions this way. You can do it on the phone too, especially if you have a little time set aside, right? It's a review meeting, you have a half-hour scheduled or whatever, you can do that. Best way to come to the conversation is with some specific ideas. People they know. That's kind of the bullseye of asking for introductions is, I know that your sister and brother-in-law in the area. I know that your parents in the area. This also, by the way, my friends, is a perfect time to be having these conversations around intergenerational wealth and introductions within the family, right? People have gotten a little closer with their families, hopefully maybe too close. People have become aware of our mortality a little bit. And because of that, it's not a bad time to bring up these important conversations around introductions to parents, introductions to adult children and siblings. And so it's a perfect time to be doing that. It's not just good for you, it's good for your clients. It's the right thing to do.
Bill, we had another question that came in from Joseph Anthus. Have there actually been studies done with statistics demonstrating the effectiveness of the neuropsychological messages by companies?
The neuropsychological messages by?
Companies.
By companies. I don't know the answer to that. I apologize. What I've learned, and it's limited, I've learned that at the seat of every, or the heart of every decision is emotion. We know that it's been proven. I know that analyticals have trouble with that, but even the analytical stuff that's done, the illustrations, the statistics, the quoting, you know, this or that, that creates an emotional response. So that's still very valid information. We also know that and this is called, oh God, what's this called? I forgot the word. But anyway, if your message is confusing in any way, or if your website is a little difficult to navigate, or the instructions you give someone through an email or whatever is in any way a little confusing, the brain automatically leaps to doing business with you is complicated. And since the brain is trying to keep the organism alive and expend fewer calories, not more, so expend less energy, anything that shows that it takes more energy to do business with you, the less likely they're going to do it. We're going to lose people. So that I know has been verified by lots of different studies. And so we've got to make sure that there's clarity every step along the way of what the next step is. And here's how we'll work together. And we have a 3-step process or a 5-step process. Lay it out, let them know, right? It's that clarity is so important. So that probably doesn't answer your question directly, but at least it gets to a little bit more of this neuroscience of relevance and moving people to take action, et cetera. So I'm still trying to get this thing autographed to Danny. All right, any other questions coming in?
Right now I see none. Oh, wait, Chad Barnes just ordered the book.
Oh, thank you, Chad.
Amazon. Will that get me a signed copy is what he's saying.
Yes, it will. If you autograph, where'd you buy it? From that website that we gave?
Amazon.
No, Amazon will not. Because they're printed by Amazon. They're printed on demand. I apologize. You could mail it to me. I could sign it. I could sign a piece of paper. You could glue it in. That's not probably going to do it. No, I'm sorry. That's why we did this, is to be able to create the opportunity for signed copies. Because Amazon, a lot of folks don't know this. Amazon actually prints books on demand. When they're ordered, then they get printed. Once a book starts to sell a certain amount, then they'll print a quantity and have them in warehouses. But in a lot of cases, they just print one at a time. It's pretty amazing technology. So sorry about that. Alan Zaletsky, I butchered it, Alan, but I'm signing your book for you.
Rick Erickson also had a question. Do you have any advice on how to ask for an favorable introduction to someone who is looking to recruit new advisors to our wonderful industry?
Yeah. I do a lot of work with on the recruiting side. It's a big question. A couple of things. You know your best source is other agents, advisors, right? Who work with you, for you, alongside of you. So you want to make sure that you're referable in their eyes, that you have those kinds of relationships. You want to make sure that the career is referable, the firm is referable, you are referable, so they will be forthcoming. You want to make sure they're crystal clear on the type of person that you're looking to bring in as a candidate. Who makes a great candidate? It's usually not someone unemployed. I mean, it could be, but it's usually someone who's just, they're good at what they do. They're just not happy, right? They're not fulfilled. Same thing with centers of influence in your community. The challenge I found with recruiting with those folks is they don't always truly know the value of nominating someone for this industry. And so it's important that you have deep relationships with these folks and they really get a good feel for the process. And And even if someone, washes out, even if someone isn't selected, that they still have a valuable experience. And they can report back to that center of influence that, yeah, it turned out not to be the right thing for me, but boy, they have a great process. And I learned a lot about myself in the process, right? So we want to make sure that that good feedback gets back to that nominator so they will continue to send people your way. So one of the things that I've been doing lately with some of the folks I'm coaching is, we know that LinkedIn can be a good source of recruiting, and making sure that you have the right messaging in place that's going to attract the right person. I found a lot of folks aren't using quite the right messaging, and so they aren't. The mistake is they try to create messaging that's a little too broad, and because of that, they often get people that aren't a good match. And again, we want to be able to. This is for whether you're an advisor looking for a client or a leader looking for a candidate. You want to make sure the message is somewhat qualifying, that you're going to attract the right people and not worry about the rest. So I hope that helps a little bit. Big question. We could do another webinar just on that one.
All right. Any other questions for Bill?
Brian Rue, I guess that's how you pronounce it. Signing your book now. Thank you very much. Any other questions?
If there are no other questions, we will slowly wrap this up, and I will do a quick closing remark. Bill, thank you again for your presentation. Thank you again for doing this virtual book signing for us. I hope everyone
fun, different.
enjoyed it. We still have about 80 people left on the call, which is amazing. Once again, thank you. Just want to remind everybody, we are going to be doing another NAIFA Live next month, which is going to be May 14th. And that's going to be delivered to us by Marcus Henderson on the topic of Leaders Lead and Builders Build. So, we actually did have one more question that came in. We have time for one more, Bill?
Oh yeah, and I'm signing your book if you're still on, Andrea Harbin.
All right, so the last question that came in is, do you still tell people, don't keep me a secret, or do you have a new message?
Yeah, I do. I mean, don't keep me a secret. It's kind of classic. It's a great thing to say. It's a great thing to sign on a handwritten note. I had an advisor tell me his version of that is share the experience. So if someone's saying, hey, this has been great, we open our eyes to things, et cetera, great. Please share the experience with others. So that's kind of a version of don't keep me a secret. I'll tell you one of the most powerful ways to promote the possibility of introductions is to teach people how you would handle it, what it would look like if they did identify someone. So, everything's confidential. You'll handle it with great care, right? You'll find a way to get introduced in a way that feels comfortable for everybody. Here's another one, a quick one. On your outgoing voice message, right? When you're on a NAIFA live event or a town hall, they get a message that says something like, thanks for your call. Please leave a message at the tone. And if you were recommended by someone, please let us know who we need to thank. And so now you send that message out. If you were recommended by someone, please let us know who we need to thank. That's part of the culture that you're building within your practice, that you work from referrals, introductions, you thank people, you celebrate it. You get so many of them, you got to have it part of your voicemail. So that's just part of the culture building. So that's another fun one that you could use as well.
Once again, so thanks, Bill. And don't forget about the town hall coming up on Monday, which is Hindsight is 2020, and that's with Dave Rasegi. That's going to be at noon Eastern time, as well as the one on April 16th. We've also got one that's at noon Eastern on Paycheck Protection Plan Deep Dive. So NAIFA Town Hall is happening. Join us. Still get your training. Once again, Bill, thank you for everything. Thanks everyone for sticking around. Hope this was entertaining and informative. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you. And guys, if you ordered a book, it's still come through. I just didn't get to all of them on the air, but we see them coming in. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, NAIFA. Appreciate it.